stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There you go. All right, kid.
The temperature went down, so everything started working again, so
Nice.
I'm 50% better than I was last time.
50%.
Yeah. All right, approval for minutes for July 13th. Jack, did you, oh, you were away.
No, I did review them.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I reviewed them today. I offered a couple of very minor edits, and I believe they've been edited and redistributed. So I move that we approve the minutes for July 13th as redrafted this afternoon.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. This will be the fastest NOIs since I've been here. 242-1787, requesting continue to 9/14.
So move. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. 242-1837, requesting continue to 9/14.
So move. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. I thought you would open up champagne.
That's exactly what I was doing.
Let me empty this.
I will start drinking, the hell with it. 242-1851, 26 Long Pasture, requesting continue to 9/14.
So move. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. 242-1850, request, Merrimack College, requesting continue to 9/14.
So move. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. 242-1750, an amendment to 1 Oak Ave. Oh, Sean, they made a lighter on this.
There we go. All right, so good evening, everyone. My name's Evan Gavendran of DeRosa Environmental. I'm here with Will Shkuda of the Moore and Cameron Group. We're here to represent Ms. Dorothy Held for her
Excuse
proposed...
me.
Yes?
We can make it real quick if we let Amy talk, give her, and you might not even have to talk and get paid.
Okay.
How's that sound?
Let me steal your thunder all the time.
Take it away, sure. Okay, thank you.
All right, I'm just gonna go quick. So, Commission issued an order of conditions in March of 2019, and it involved a bunch of drainage improvements around the house and work in the wetland that is on the trustee's property to help alleviate flooding that was on 1 Oak Avenue. After she, reviewed it with some of the contractors, trying to get quotes, she wanted to revise the plan and reduce the scope. So the scope is now that they're eliminating all work within the wetland itself. They're performing grading on the applicant's and partially on the trustee's property to create a preferential flow path around the house, off to the rear and the front of the house, so it can drain right into the BBW. They want to install a 4-inch perforated pipe and crushed stone infiltration trench at the front of the property along the edge of the roadway. The perforated pipe would then transition to a solid pipe to eventually discharge into a riprap apron in the B-series wetland at the existing head wall. Armored the bank to the existing intermittent stream that's across the street. And portions of the drainage work occurs within the 25-foot no disturb zone and 50-foot to the wetland, and a waiver is requested and attached to your packets. The amendment goes on to seek some following landscape-related work. Previously approved shed is in a slightly different location, but a ramp was added, and it remains outside the 50-foot no build. previously approved pervious walkway at the front is now going to be a crushed stone gravel walkway that wraps around the house and leads to the street. A crushed stone landing off the rear deck is proposed. Reset existing sewer cleanout and some landscape plantings. The previous order talked about the applicant doing some invasive species work, but it looks like that's been eliminated from the proposal. So we have, that's the reduced scope.
So your recommendations are?
Well, I would say that I think the commission can find its way to grant a waiver, especially considering that the previous amount of scope of work was much more impactful in the wetland itself. And close the hearing and issue an amended order of conditions. I do have a draft decision for you.
Okay,
That's it.
so what you're saying is they shrunk the project,
They shrunk the project,
but they still need a waiver.
yes.
But everything, it's smaller, but everything is still the same, pretty much.
Right, I mean, they were gonna do some grading inside the wetland itself, it was a lot more,
And we originally approved it.
yes.
Okay. Check?
Yeah, it looks pretty straightforward to me, except for that riprap. I just want to be clear, is there riprap going to the side of that A-series wetland that leads to the drain that goes under the road? Is that new? Is that proposed? Yeah.
Yes, that's proposed.
Okay, so it's a stormwater enhancement, I guess. Everything else looks pretty straightforward to me. But what's the purpose of that riprap? Obviously to prevent erosion and reduce velocity. Does it need, is that on the trustee's property?
It is.
It is, okay. And do we have written permission to do that work?
Well, I inquired with the applicant's team whether or not trustees was aware of all this work, and
I do have email confirmation.
you do, okay.
I can forward
All right,
that
I'll
for the
take that
file.
for the file.
We should have that as part of the
Yep.
file.
Okay.
Yeah, that work is actually, that parcel across the street is part of One Oak Avenue, so it's in the right-of-way, theoretically the private right-of-way in One Oak Avenue, the work for the riprap.
Okay. Is it currently a stormwater management structure, or is it just an intermittent stream?
It's an intermittent stream, and there's some erosion going on right now, so we're just trying to prevent future issues by armoring it.
Okay, okay. DPW does that all the time. I'm good. No,
Okay.
no more questions.
Thank you. Paul?
Nothing right now.
Ryan?
Yeah, I picked up on the riprap as well. Is that sloped right now? That area between Oak Avenue and the wetland, is it a pretty
Yeah,
good
so
slope?
the stream comes in and basically takes a 90-degree bend right there, and it's about a 3-foot drop.
Okay.
So it's just slowly eroding, takes the 90-degree bend and then goes through the culvert, so.
So is the stream causing the erosion at the
Yeah,
bend?
exactly, so heavy
Okay.
storm events, I think it just kind of slowly has been kind of.
Would it be
hitting the
possible to use some natural biostabilization as opposed to riprap? Like
We were
staked
just trying to
coils?
armor it because it is a 90-degree bend, and I believe the flows
Yeah.
gets pretty, there's large velocities going through, so it's just to help knock down the velocities.
Yeah. Were they considered for that, or was it just like, we're gonna put riprap here?
Yeah, we just looked at it and thought it was kind of a
Okay.
spot.
Because
for
I've
riprap.
seen pretty large stream bank restorations with
Mhm.
staked coir logs and jute, where you put willow stakes or something in there, and it does a pretty good job of stopping that erosion. On much larger streams than this, I've seen it. That would be my recommendation. I don't know how the rest of the commission feels about it, but I think if you use natural biostabilization, you can actually put willow or dogwood stakes in it, and that can actually be a vegetated
Okay.
riparian area along the stream as opposed to a riprap slope. So that's my take.
Sean?
Can I, as the owner of One Oak, just make a comment to
Can we
that?
just get through, I want to get through the commissioners
Okay,
first, then I'll.
okay, sorry,
I'll
yes.
take-
I am. I'm not a big fan of waivers, but I appreciate the one you have in front of us, and I appreciate the amendment to your project. So thank you.
Okay.
I,
Another-
for forgot to mention, I had asked that the project team to provide us with the O&M plan for the infiltration trench, and received that this afternoon, so it's part of your packets as well.
And Ryan, I'm indifferent with that, but I'm a big fan of erosion stone. Just because of my way in construction and make it fix it
Yeah.
and move on.
Well, that's why we all get a vote, so.
That's right. But, I'll go whatever,
You know,
Question, Mr. Chairman.
I respect the process.
Are there sump pumps in the basement, of this house?
There's no basement, so it's just a crawl space underneath with access.
Okay, knowing the water table in the neighborhood, if you had a basement, you'd have at least 4 sump pumps.
Correct.
Okay, very good, thank you.
All right, so we need a, what do the waiver first?
Well, the owner, I think the owner wanted to.
Oh, I'm sorry, you wanted to say something?
Well, I just wanted to reply, I would absolutely do that.
You need to approach the
Yeah.
I would
microphones,
do it,
yeah, and state your name and address.
We want to put you on TV, make you famous for the night.
Oh, Lord. Okay, yeah, this is my 5 seconds of fame.
5 seconds.
State your name and purpose.
My
Yeah.
name is Dorothy Held. I'm the owner of One Oak Avenue. This is a new team. They were recommended to me by the trustees, and they've done a fabulous job, I think, taking a deeper dive into what I needed in this property. So let me start with that. I just wanted to address this gentleman's concern about, I'm 100% on board with that. The problem is that the 90-degree hits the street. So it's compromising, potentially compromising the street at some point if we don't put something a little more substantial. I've provided them with pictures, because I take pictures at every rainstorm, and this might give you a sense of really the amount of water that's, I don't know what the technical term is, Will, I'm sorry, Will's also, but the water's hitting the street and then turning, and then going into the culvert, if that's the technical term. And so the erosion is close to, compromising the road, for lack of better, as well as coming into my yard and causing all sorts of other problems. So I'll leave it at that. So, is that okay?
So is
Yes,
it?
yes,
Sounds
yes.
good.
This left picture, this is the stream in a really bad storm, but this is the stream that's coming towards the street, so we're looking down, so that's, intense.
Is that, I mean, that seems more of a flooding issue than stabilization, but without actually being out there to see it,
Yeah.
it's tough to say for
Is
sure.
the water over the road in that
Yes.
photo?
Yes.
Driveway.
That's, knowing the location and knowing the neighborhood, that's very normal. That's an annual event, what you're showing.
All right, so we have to grant the waiver first?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I
I'm
don't
not
think
gonna
there's
ask.
anyone, there's no.
I'll vote for it, but don't ask me to move.
I did.
I appreciate that.
I move that we grant the waiver to do work within the buffer zone of the A-series wetland on our,
And the B series too.
and the, yes, you're right, and the B-series, on our plan dated July 21, 2022.
I'll second it. Well, it's a good purpose. This is good use of the waiver.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. All right, now we need to vote on the amendment.
So you would, if you don't get any more information, you can close the hearing and then.
Plus-
You could vote to close the hearing and then review the draft amended order as we usually do, as if it was a regular order of conditions.
Don't we need to approve the proposed amendment first? We just approved the waiver.
Yeah. You
Now
can,
we have to approve
I
the
mean,
amendment because of the changes.
Yeah.
So, let me ask, I'm just gonna keep asking questions. So the BMPs that are attached, are we satisfied with that?
Yeah, I think-
In furtherance of the amendment?
yeah, absolutely. I think it covers I think it's comprehensive and it covers what's needed for those two types of BMPs.
So you don't, nobody feels that anything needs to be added to that,
I don't think so.
okay? If that's the case, I would offer to approve the amendment.
Second.
Second.
All
So,
those in favor?
just real quick, is that, so if I voted against the waiver,
You still do it.
I would still have to vote against the, right, is that tied into it?
Well, you can accept two, I find myself in that position an awful lot. 27 years. So, yeah, you vote on the waiver, and if the waiver gets approved and you voted against it, you're still a member of the committee and you vote on the amendment itself.
Okay.
And sometimes you'll vote with it, depending on your perspective or the situation. Sometimes you'll vote against it because of this current situation.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's nice having a lawyer on the board.
Very nice.
All right, so we have,
Come up off
At
the-
times.
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous.
Unanimous? Okay.
Yeah. All set. See, I try to make it easy.
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Can we have those photos as a matter of
Yeah,
record?
sure.
I can
Yep.
send those to you.
Okay, yep.
Do you want hard copies?
She might want a board back.
I got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. RDA,
So Dorothy, just so you understand, the commission voted to approve the amendment.
Yep.
I drafted an amended order of conditions for them to look at tonight and issue. So it's sort of the same thing,
So then I file it,
so yeah, so
and then I
there's,
can go forward.
right,
Because we've got the dry season, no pun intended, and I'm hoping to get
Yeah.
the work done in September and October
Yeah.
before possible. All right.
thank you.
Thanks for
Thanks,
your
guys.
help, everyone.
Thank you.
you're welcome. All right, RDA, 518 Salem Street.
Alrighty. Yeah. I have them. I've got them. Yep. Alrighty. You can hop up here and I'll just open up and get this projected. Alright, go upside down, but, okay. Alright, this RDA, work entails, work on an existing 14 by 14 screen porch and attached 14 by 5 deck and stairs. The porch floor support frame will be replaced with 2 by 12 pressure treated posts. Exterior walls will be replaced. And there'll be 2 by 10 ceiling joists. So basically, the roof will stay and the footings will stay. So there's no ground disturbance. Lattice will be installed at the bottom of the porch. So it's a screened-in porch right now, and what they want to do is make it windows. So so it's more of a enclosed area. Field inspector confirmed that the proposed work is 68 feet from the BBW at its closest point. And we just confirmed that the pool that's located in the 50 has been in place since they purchased the home in 1992, and our aerials show that the pool was in place as far back as 2001. So I would recommend closing the hearing and issue a negative number 3 determination with conditions that require a pre-construction meeting with the Conservation Department, the dumpster for demo materials to be placed in the paved driveway, and post-construction meeting with the Conservation Department to verify compliance.
Thank you. Jack?
Yeah, this looks fairly straightforward to me, similar to other projects we've had. I do have one question, though, about construction access for machinery and materials. I think this is a negative 3 if we can avoid temporary disturbance of the no disturb zone. which is on the left side of your house. So if you could have your construction access, come up the driveway, go to the right side of your house and around to the deck.
The garage is on the left-hand side,
Yep.
all the way to the front.
So across your front lawn?
Well, it's a driveway in the front.
And it's a
It's a circular
it's
driveway.
a circular driveway.
So it'll be
Yeah.
a pull in and pull out. Most likely, the construction trucks will stay on the driveway. They're just gonna carry everything back and forth.
Okay.
Because there's no access
So
back
no
here.
no,
There's nothing, there's no trucks or anything.
it's just manual.
Just manual.
Pool deck's in the way,
Oh, that's true.
drive's in the way. They can't get back there even if they wanted to.
Yeah, that's right.
It looks like it's an easier path to the right anyway.
Yeah.
So as long as they don't operate any machinery or equipment
Yeah, so if you want to
on the left side, but they can walk back and forth with
with
material.
They can't get back there, even if they wanted to.
I was gonna suggest to condition, construction access to the right side of the house as you're facing the house from Salem Street.
Oh, if you look to the right side of the house, there is an addition to the right that goes along the line of arborvitae. So there's really no room to even walk between.
So
the
you
two.
have to go to the left side?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
And it-
Then we could condition no machinery in the
Yeah.
no disturb
Jack,
zone.
as you
Yep.
can see from this picture, there's no way to get between the house and the pool.
That's,
Pretty
yeah.
much- Pretty much with anything.
So if he went around the left side,
The left side will be on the back side of this porch.
he's gonna,
See the pool?
I do see it, but I'm not seeing what you're saying. If he goes around the left side,
He's saying go this way. He's saying come in the driveway and go this way.
yeah,
To the work zone.
and that's gonna, if we can condition no machinery in the 25-foot no disturb zone,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah,
Okay.
then we should do that.
Th- There would be no reason for machinery,
No reason.
for a job this small,
Yeah.
to have to go into the no disturb. This is not a big job.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest going.
But it doesn't hurt to have
I
it.
don't think he can.
Yeah, but he
No, he
doesn't
can't.
think
He
he
can't.
can, so.
I'm looking, it's gotta go that way,
Yeah.
I think.
Yep, looks like the applicant agrees, so.
I do.
I would suggest that condition, no machinery.
Okay.
No machinery within the no disturb zone.
Oh, got it, yep.
All set.
Al, any questions?
I'm good.
No questions.
Motion?
So close the hearing and issue a -3 with the conditions as discussed.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. All set,
Great,
thank
thank you
you.
very much.
Thank you very much. I'll issue that permit probably early next week.
That'd be great.
Okay,
Thanks.
great, thank you.
Next one is 1403/1404 Basswood Circle. Continued to the next meeting.
Yep.
So moved.
9:14.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. Next one is modification 242-1808 Beechwood Drive.
Do I still have nobody? Well, I was promised a representative for the project. I don't see anybody, so,
You wanna table it,
if you want to.
in case, if you're
Yeah,
expecting,
I was
if
expecting.
you're expecting a rep,
It's that big
That's,
project.
That's the second time.
Yep.
He wasn't here last meeting either.
Well, we were waiting for a revised plan and stamped plan, so I told them not to come, but they said someone would be here
Okay.
tonight.
So we're gonna table this one.
Okay, yep.
Okay. Next one is, you better hurry then. Next one is COC 242-1535. We just did that one. No, sorry.
Basswood versus Beechwood.
I'm sorry. Continue to 9/14.
so moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's unanimous. 242-1818 Great Pond Road stabilization, not in a DPW.
Alrighty. So So the commission will recall this order was issued in September of 2021, and it governed work to address significant erosion that was occurring along the bank of Lake Kachikwick and the shoulder of the Great Pond Road. And in some instances, erosion was undermining the roadway in two specific areas. So Area 1 was to receive sheet piling approximately 30 feet deep along the roadway to stabilize that shoulder with the 20-inch gap at Station 1 and 1.5 to allow for large tree roots. The sheet pile was to be 3 to 4 feet from the edge of the pavement with 12 inches of processed gravel in between and installation of a brand new guardrail. The falling cobble head wall was to be replaced with a new precast concrete head wall with the new 12-inch RCP and manhole in Great Pond Road. Area 2 was an area of bank erosion that received boulders at the toe of the bank and then an angular riprap to stabilize that slope. Work was completed in early spring of 2022. No major problems were encountered, at least to my knowledge. Final conditions have experienced a few intense rain events, and the shoulder dressing and erosion control blanketing are holding up very well. Native seed is sprouting. Bob Rafferty with Environmental Partners is here this evening if you have questions.
And your recommendation is?
And my recommendation would be, barring any outstanding questions from you guys, issue a full and complete certificate of compliance with ongoing boilerplate conditions as prescribed.
Jack?
Yeah, Bob, did construction go as planned?
Yes, very well,
Very well.
yeah. They were able to close the road, so they were very, very quick about driving the sheeting.
I saw them working out there. It looked pretty smooth. I have no other questions.
Al?
No questions?
I have a nice job, I have no more questions.
No questions?
No questions concerning what's been done, but as far as the status of it out there, is it all paved? Is there gonna be any more pavement being done in that area?
I don't know.
You don't,
I don't know.
just as far as your order of conditions, you're done?
We're not,
The
yes.
road needs it badly, but I don't know if it's on the list.
No questions?
It's on this year's list, because every year they have to give us a list
Yep,
of the streets they're gonna pave, so we can overlook it, see if there's any wetlands issues.
right,
That's not on it, so, hope for next year.
thanks.
All right, motion,
I move that we issue the certificate of compliance for 242-1818 Great Pond Road roadway stabilization.
Second.
motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
Great, thank you,
You're all
Bob.
set.
Appreciate
Thank
you
you.
coming.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Small project NACC 297 after the fact application 235 Great Pond Road.
Is that you guys? No? Okay. All right, I'll go over it. And if you guys have any questions, let me know. All right, so this is an after the fact. Work entails replacing support joists and decking on an existing deck with new composite material. The deck is approximately 90 square feet in area off the end of the house. Replacing a side entrance wooden landing decking and joists with new composite material and a concrete bottom step. The work in this area is about 35 square feet. Both of the structures are surrounded inside a landscaping bed, wholly outside of the 100-foot buffer zone to BBW, but it is within riverfront. Work is 127 feet from the river at its closest point. This lot is encumbered by the same conservation restriction that governs 243 Great Pond Road, but all of the work is outside of the CR. Let's see, so they're coming in under category B, which is in-kind replacement of lawfully existing decks regardless of size. And I would recommend approval of the project under this category B, requiring a post-construction meeting with the Conservation Department to verify compliance with this in-kind replacement. And I don't believe our erosion controls are necessary at all.
Thank you. Jack?
I have no questions.
Al?
All set.
I was at his office today, I was gonna yell at him, but I forgot. No questions.
No questions.
Just one question, how does this come in front of us? I've never seen like an after-the-fact small project.
I think
Before.
it's a
Well-
first.
It's what?
I think this is a first.
It is a first. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
certainly, I approve, I'm gonna approve it and all
Yeah.
that, but just I think I've
Well,
never
it
seen
was
this
just
happen
such I mean, the work was so far away and so
Yeah.
limited. It was still work.
Right.
So I had to haul them in, I guess.
before. Okay, no questions?
I do have a question. How'd you find it?
I was driving by up to 243 just to take a look, and I was like, oh, what's happening over there?
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Motion?
and then they weren't working with a building permit either, so
Right,
the building department shut them down as well.
there you go.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Motion?
I move the recommendation as drafted.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
oh, great, okay. So I do expect, Mr. Bonilla and, the homeowner for 49 Court. I think I said, don't come right at 7 o'clock, but,
Well, he's gonna be out of luck because we got a decision. I'm not gonna sit here waiting for people.
okay.
So we have,
We have left.
We have,
We have a decision.
we have one item that's tabled that we can bring forward.
Yep.
Or we can continue.
The Beechwood one, I think we should continue, because I really would like to have Joe here, if that's okay.
Okay, so if you want that, I move that we continue 242-1808 to the next meeting.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. And tell the applicant that they better be here,
yeah,
because if not, then we'll deny his modification. We'll finish that off. In Court Street, they have to be here, we can't.
They're coming, right? Court Street?
I hope so.
yeah.
Well, what else do we have?
We have a decision.
Two decisions.
Two,
What about
Yep.
no, we're not gonna talk about the other two, right?
we're on Flagship and Hilton Oil, there's nothing to talk about, because there's no information.
Could I ask a question? I'm sorry, I have to ask. I read with great interest
Yep.
the report filed by Patrick Seacamp on the Foster Street heating oil spill.
Yes.
And I found the report to be as I expected. And I found the report to be complete.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't surprised at all
Right.
with his findings. My question is, under the Wetland Protection Act, when it comes to these types of actions, it has been my understanding that we are operating solely under DEP regulations with respect to the cleanup and with respect to the actions being taken by the LSP on behalf of the insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
Am I understanding correctly?
Yeah, that activities are under MCP.
Now, I noticed in Mr. Seacamp's report that he did find that we had jurisdiction on as well, that we do not lack jurisdiction
Right.
to rule on this project.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anybody that disagrees with that? So we have a property that the town owns,
Right.
that we are the caretakers of. We are the stewards of that property. We have an LSP acting on behalf of the insurance company, and we have our own consultant that we hired to go out and do the assessment,
Right.
who has filed a report that somewhat indicates that work was not done as completely as it should have been, that work continues to need to be done. And in the past, when I've raised this, I've been told by the LSP that he's in compliance with DEP, and that's as much as he has to do. Why I'm bringing this all up is, I think it's time that this commission assert its jurisdiction and authority and start to take action independent of
MCP.
and DEP. You know, DEP may have regulations that satisfy the minimum requirements. DEP publishes a document that has thousands of pages, and it sets the bar somewhere below the oil spill.
Right.
Why do we have to accept the league minimum? Why can't we insist upon, as both the commission that has jurisdiction and the stewards of the land on behalf of the town of North Andover, why can't we be pushing this thing a little further? Because to this day, you can still go to that site and smell oil
Yeah.
to the left, on the right side of that road, and if you go upstream, you can find oil that has migrated upstream as far as 100 yards. To me personally, this is just unacceptable, and to me personally, we bring everybody in town before us, and we hold their feet to the fire for everything from little sandboxes to shopping centers. I can't believe that we're being stonewalled by an organization that's hanging their hat on, well, I'm doing what DEP says, and it's all DEP says I have to do. That's just unacceptable. That's nonsense to me. I don't live in that kind of world. There has to be a way to force compliance. There has to be.
Right.
If I could add something to the discussion, one of the times I was out there, the DEP, I can't remember the guy's name, Smith or something like
I
that.
forget his name.
There was a DEP rep that came out, and I guess he was out there the night of the spill too.
Yeah.
He was there. I think that guy's name was Tim, the Clean Harbors guy. He was there. Amy was there. John Borghese was there. I was there.
Mike Sabulis.
Mike Sabulis was there, yeah. And we went through the whole thing, and we talked about exactly what you're talking about, and I think I wrote something about that too.
You did. You absolutely did.
And DEP basically said, well, they're following our guidelines, and he's in charge, the LSP's in charge, they're following our guidelines, so we can't make him do any more. And the DEP guy said, look, I'm not gonna allow you to go into this stream and muck out oil from it. It's gonna cause too much damage, okay? But he also said that there's a second part to this. There's the LSP part to this, that they abide by DEP regulations, but the town's the owner of the property, and as the owner of the property, the town, has suffered damages because of that oil spill. And I think that move to get Pat Seacamp to investigate and write a report on what those damages are was an excellent move. And after reading it myself, I noticed that he had identified specific species that of insects and frogs. Snails, yes, snails, other things, and then also sedges and
Other
woody vegetation, bushes that have been damaged and have, are not growing at the rate that they should be. There's obviously something that they're deficient because of this oil spill. So I think what Pat has done for us is to identify, maybe in general terms, damages that the town has suffered, our sensitive habitat has suffered because of the oil spill. And as the property owner, we are within our rights to compel the people who caused this damage to make it right. And maybe, I don't know what the remedies might be, but we might require them to bring plantings in, we might require them to bring species in and you know.
You're kind, and I mean that sincerely. My suggestion is a little more harsh. I suggest that we petition the Board of Selectmen, the town manager and town council to retain counsel and to seek damages to repair that land to its original stage, however long it takes and however much it costs. I am no longer satisfied with DEP, Clean Harbors, or the LSP, or any of the players. They're all just mailing it in, and I'm not gonna sit around and wait for them to mail it in. I want this thing to move to the next level. I want damages, whatever they may be, let the chips fall where they may. I really couldn't care less who I offend. That's my recommendation, and I'm hoping we can make that happen.
Well, I was in agreement with you 3 months ago, but the first time I heard, I'm not gonna name any names, the guy was just talking
No,
pillow talk.
I get it.
And I was just, you know.
But we had to let it play out. It had to play out. See, you have to let everybody take their shot. Everybody has to get up to the plate and swing the bat.
Oh, because, well, the thing of it is.
And that's what's happened here now.
Yeah, because the thing is, like you say, to take somebody to court, you're taking on giant people.
So we hire giant people.
Because that's what's
We
gonna say.
have able counsel before us who can tell us who to
Yeah.
hire.
But that's what it's gonna be, because I mean,
Well-
the LSP, Hilton is kicked off to the curb, and because they're following what the law says. As long as they're compliant with the DEP, with the state, they're compliant. Somebody says we have, Mr. GovCAM says that we have rights too, because we have town property.
We're damaged.
Well, but it's an interpretation, so these two huge companies, Clean Harbors and whoever the insurance company is, and Harmony, that they've done their diligence.
You guys wanna just have an open discussion about this, cause I can, you know, I know the lay of the landscape, as they say.
Yeah.
So, there's an insurance company that's driving, making payments, and they hire a company, an outside vendor, that they have a respect for, or they have an ongoing relationship with. For every case that comes in, they send it out to that one vendor, and that one vendor it could be Good Harbors, and they do what they do. So, as a landowner, you know, and I'm not counsel for the board, this is just me articulating my own opinions. A landowner has certain rights, it's got nothing to do with DEP, a landowner's rights is a landowner's rights. It's like the difference between somebody being brought up on a criminal charge for murder and being found not guilty, and then being found for $1 billion on a civil liability claim. They're two completely different questions and standards. So certainly I would think the town of North Andover is within its rights to bring a lawsuit for any damages that it suffered as a result of the negligence of Hilton Oil. Are there additional claims that can be brought for unfair practices or activities that have occurred since then? I'm sure those are things that, you know, an attorney on behalf of the town would examine, and could have punitive damages and even attorney's fees above what the regular compensatory damages would be. But these are just my opinions.
Okay, so I think we're all on the same page. I think we're all fed up with what's happened.
So I'm asking that we start petitioning the town manager and the Board of Selectmen to retain whatever counsel is needed. This is way beyond town council.
Well, okay, different question, gotcha. So how do you get something in front of the Board of Selectmen on, you know, how does the Conservation Commission get an issue like this in
Just
front
get
of
on the
board?
agenda.
We,
Put it on the
we,
agenda.
we request
Yep.
to go before them
Yep.
and discuss it.
That's what we should be
But-
moving for.
Well, I'm requesting that, I guess to be specific, I'm requesting that Amy go to the town manager first. I think that's the most reasonable approach, the TM.
Yep.
Have the discussion, perhaps play the whole recording back for this discussion for the town manager to see, so that she has a clear idea of what it is we want and what we're asking for. And then the TM may want to talk to us at a public hearing, and then we go from there. But we have to, it's got to be kicked off. We can't sit back any longer. It's painfully obvious to me what's happened.
No, I agree, and again, it's this person's opinion, and I know it's consistent with everybody here, from day 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 or 20, we were very disappointed with the responses and the reactions and responses and the cluelessness that came out of Clean Harbors. It was like that statement I heard before, like, if this blankety blank was in Fenway Park, they wouldn't know how to get to first base.
There it is.
And that's kind of how I felt as a layperson, seeing how Clean Harbors was handled.
So they've been given 8 months now
Yep.
to perform.
No,
They've been given 8 months, and we have a report from a very competent scientist who says the area is damaged. The flora and the fauna are damaged. Good enough for me to get started now. Let's not have a 1-year anniversary and all be sitting here talking
Talk
about
about
it.
the same thing.
That's all I'm asking. We gotta
Yeah.
take some kind of
We
action.
can do it.
What does the current enforcement order require? Has it been amended? Like, what's the current enforcement order?
Delivery of, the final, it's more reporting,
Okay.
delivery of the risk assessment.
What if we start, we're not finding them, right? With this right now?
No, we're not.
What if we set a deadline, say, we want the site characterized, we wanna know the soil characterization, like, what, the results of the test are
Yeah.
crucial in that, but there's
We want
other work that
the
goes into that
risk
mapping and
here.
stuff like that, by a certain date.
Well, I think we know that.
We did that.
I think
We know exactly where.
Well,
Well,
I
no,
think that's what, I
we're
think,
waiting for the final risk characterization.
We
but
did
that's
it.
being done.
Yeah.
See, this is where we hired our own guy.
Mhm.
He gave us a report. I will suggest that the next person that comes in and files a report, they're gonna differ.
Yeah,
The opinions are going to differ, depending upon who does
Yeah.
who's asking the question.
I'm just thinking in terms of, like, literally putting a line around the area where the soil contamination is, because that's gonna go into the damages.
So I think-
It's the area, so the soil characterization will probably do that, they'll probably show mapping at their data points and stuff.
So we might have to just,
They've sampled that.
we have Pat's report that identifies areas.
Okay.
And their testing basically coincides with that as well.
Okay, yeah, I'm just trying to find a way to use our enforcement. I'm totally on board with petition and council, I mean, I think we need to exhaust all options at
We're
this point.
we're past the enforcement.
Okay, I'm just trying to find a way to find
We've
them.
been
Yeah.
asking for things for 3 months.
Instead of doing something like that, and I understand that, and I respect that, instead of doing something like that, I'd rather just simply move this thing right along.
it's not an either or, you know, I mean.
Well, that's what I'm-
Yeah,
right,
yeah, I
yeah.
mean, you're talking about doing things as a landowner,
I am.
not as a conservation commissioner.
Well,
He's talking about
well,
enforcement.
as a commission, we retained our own consultant.
Yeah,
And our consultant has filed a report, which I read, which I think really spelled it out, made it very clear what he saw, what he didn't see, and where he saw it. I mean, if we need that to be more enhanced or a more detailed report on that, we can talk about that, but at the same time, I'd like to get this in front of the officials in the town that have the authority to help us out here.
yep.
And I think to Ryan's point, there's been extensive testing and analysis of that area, water and soils, and wildlife and vegetation, and all of that, you know, kind of defines what you're talking about, Ryan. It
Never
defines
worked- they
the
never
areas,
worked
and
together.
it actually helps our case.
I think it's
Yeah.
important, though, that we initiate fines here. I think that's really important. I mean, why would you sue somebody when you have the opportunity to issue fines against them as well?
I think we can do both.
Yes, absolutely.
We had them,
I think we'd be questioned if we didn't.
we were finding Hiltons for a long time,
Well,
and then we stopped that.
yeah,
So
We were supposed to sign.
who are
fine
we
them.
issuing fines to
I know,
and
how
for
do we
what?
do
Yeah,
that?
you
They've
find
come-
people that have no.
I think it would be the
I-
responsible
well, you find
party.
people who are
Yeah.
not in compliance with something. And what are they, what's the enforcement order?
They're not, the applicant is Hilton Oil,
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, the responsible party is
yeah.
Hilton
They
Oil.
would.
And the defendant in a lawsuit by a town against anybody is gonna be Hilton Oil too.
I mean, the insurance company's already canceled Hilton on their renewal. Because upside down, lost the premium ratio was
Yep.
upside down, so she's gonna walk away from the poor guy. I think they still gotta cover him as long as this issue was around. But the insurance company is
That's not,
saying,
but that's not our.
I know, but the insurance company is telling them that, is saying Clean Harbors has done their job based on DEP requirements. And I asked that guy first, when I came back from Florida in April, we asked about a soil sample, weight samples, and he goes, oh, I forgot. I forgot. I want,
That's a matter of record, too.
it is a matter of record,
Yeah,
I didn't make it
remember,
up. And I was really at the point to say what I wanted to say, but I didn't. But nothing, this guy, he's talking to us like he could care less what we
Yeah,
had to
no,
say.
Lou, I remember, I mean, you were away for the first couple meetings with this,
Right.
and our temperature had been through the roof.
Yeah.
For your first meeting back.
And it didn't get any better.
Not getting better.
Can we have Amy go to the town manager first before we?
Yeah.
I can accompany you, too.
Okay.
If it's tomorrow, Friday's a little bit worse
Friday,
for me.
Because I have
Friday's
spoken
not gonna work.
to town manager about
Maybe
this.
next week,
Yeah.
I have
Whatever you can. Yeah.
about a month ago,
next week.
Yeah.
you know, and I says, you know, we got
None
this issue,
Monday,
it's not going
Monday.
away. She says, well, we gotta make it go away. I said,
If you
well,
need me, I'm around Monday,
Okay.
but not for the rest
So
All
of
right,
the
well, let's
so
try
she's-
for Monday.
partially on board.
Okay, well, let's do it by the numbers then. Let's
Yeah.
start there first. We need the town manager to understand what we're asking for, and then we would go before the Board of Selectmen and petition them, and then in the meanwhile, we can make further decisions based on information we have from our consultants,
Yep.
I think.
I would have Jack, if Jack has the
Yep.
time, if Jack would go with, because Jack's pretty informative about
Yep.
the stuff, he's done the site reviews, he's done
Yep.
all the stuff.
Mhm.
If you could go with Amy to
Yep.
talk to the town manager.
If we can do it Monday,
Yep.
I'm available, but
I'll arrange.
Oh, she's-
Changes.
she's up,
I'll make myself available also.
oh, good.
Okay,
And then we'll go from there.
okay,
Thank you all.
thank you.
Sorry to make the meeting go longer.
okay.
No,
No,
that's,
it's
we
a
gotta wait
conversation.
anyway,
This is
but
too
an
important.
applicant.
Yeah.
The other question is it a good idea to tell the we can't, the applicant ain't gonna matter. I was gonna say, tell them what we're planning on doing.
What applicant?
Tell Hilton
There is
Oil.
Hilton
Hilton
Oil.
Oil.
Well, I mean, if they
Yes.
watch television, they know.
This
So
is a
it's
public,
public-
this is
public
a very
record.
public
Yeah.
meeting.
All right,
So
very
it's
good.
out, Lou.
Then we won't, it's out, everybody knows.
I think
Okay?
I think the horse has left the barn here.
All right. Good, I'd just soon have somebody do it, because we're not getting anywhere, not of any fault
No,
of
no,
our
we
own.
understand that it's, Hilton Oil may be the responsible party, but they are not the party in control of what's going on with
Right.
the situation.
Right.
And
I mean,
the
you
rest of
haven't
it
sh-
plays out however it
You
plays out,
haven't,
but we
just like if
understand
you hire an attorney and nothing's happening or things aren't happening right, it's not the person's fault. It's what the attorney's putting forward or not putting forward.
that. I don't like that attorney analogy,
Right,
on
that's
this one, Lou,
bad-
but I
bad
understand.
analogy.
Let's use an excavator.
I like
you know,
my,
a paving company, how's that? They're not
I
paving
like
right?
my,
You know, you're one of the few attorneys that I like.
All right, I'm gonna try to keep it that way.
we have 49 Court Street now.
I know.
So, Sergio Bonilla is on his way, he said he's gonna be arriving at 8:04, so we could do a couple of,
Let's do this, the decisions.
he'd like to be here,
Okay.
so we can do the decisions?
Yep.
Okay.
and we have
This one was
Court Street,
161
too.
Campbell Road.
Okay.
All right, 160. So does the bond seem reasonable?
I don't see it yet.
3,000.
Three?
I
Oh,
was,
I think you should make it.
yeah, I was gonna make it no less than 3,000, but
Well, we, we have a $2,000, Amy and I set a $2,000 minimum. And he's got some tree removal. He's gonna do it. I mean, I don't think he's gonna complain about the barn.
He's almost building a house.
Huh?
Yeah.
It's described as an in-law addition. Does it exceed the size of the house? Square footage wise?
No,
No.
but it's a sizable addition.
Huh?
It's a sizable addition, and he's also doing an addition over the
Maybe.
garage, or maybe, well,
I think 2,000 is fair.
Yep.
You want to reduce, you said, Jack?
No,
So you want
I was
increase it?
saying at least 3,000.
Yeah, that's what it is, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you said you wanted to reduce
No,
it.
I don't want to reduce it.
Okay.
It's got a frost wall foundation.
Yep.
Yeah, he's not, he was gonna do a full foundation, and it was too expensive, because there was a possibility of ledge. That changes everybody's mind.
Or increase the cost dramatically.
Yeah.
Unless you
Yep,
get an
yep.
open checkbook.
Yep.
I don't have any questions. If anybody doesn't have any questions, take a motion.
I move that we.
Bless you.
Bless you. Accept as drafted.
I think
Oh, I can't.
you missed two, so we've got these four guys. So you have to abstain.
Wow.
Sorry.
I move that we approve the order of conditions for 161 Campbell Road, 242-1847 as drafted.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's
And one
unanimous. And one
abstention.
abstention.
And one abstention. Okay,
Because
thank
Amy
you.
says so.
Thank you, Amy.
Next one is,
The Oak Ave amended order of conditions, which everyone can participate.
there's no number, so I don't know which one it is.
242-1750. Sorry, that, I need to have that header.
So the one that just says finding as fact up top, that's okay?
Hmm?
This decision here that just says findings of fact with no number on it, that's okay?
The footer has
Yes,
the
the
info
footer has
on
it. I will fix that on the header.
Oh, I
Sorry.
see it, never mind, I'm good.
Sorry.
No, I didn't see the footer. The fine print.
I
I
know.
often miss the fine print.
Invasive species.
Yeah, I think that's no longer part of the project, so I'm gonna scratch that out.
I hate doing that. I bet trustees would cooperate with us.
I think trustees has their own plans for invasives on their property,
Okay.
based on a site visit with them.
Yep.
I personally think it's too much for a homeowner to tackle anyway, but that's my personal opinion.
What about condition 54? Why would you strike that?
Yeah, I was gonna mention that,
I kinda like that condition.
yeah. She mentioned
guess-
she was gonna try to do it in the low flow conditions.
Yeah, I guess you're right now that I was thinking of work in the BVW, that it was really related to that, but I'll keep it
Thank you.
because of the stream. Sorry.
Yeah, it,
No, you're right.
and that's an area of town, that the water used to come down Court Street, down that stream, and then it would get up on top of Osgood Street and flow all the way down to Boston Brook, overland. That was always in that
Really?
area, yeah. I used to live on Osgood Street, and I used to have a river in my front yard every time. It's an area that's hard to control.
Was it jurisdictional in your front yard? Did you have a river?
Thank God there was a curb and a sidewalk. I feel like I was protected.
And a dike.
We didn't do anything to try to stop that water, because stopping it was stupid, because it was coming right into the house wherever you
Yeah.
tried to stop it. It was coming in, so let it go,
Let it flow.
let it flow. But the stream would just literally come right up onto the street, right at the Five Corners, right where the Five Corners is, and come right down Osgood, right down to Brooklyn. Kids used to put boats in it and go down.
What's your suggestion for the operation and maintenance plan as part of the amended document?
Oh, yeah.
Did they give us one, or?
They did. I just didn't know what the date was or
Oh,
what they
okay.
were gonna name it, but I wanted to do a
Oh,
placeholder, so
okay.
I will.
Yeah. I'd be surprised if Moore and Cameron didn't do that, like, as part of their procedure.
Okay, do you have any more questions? Motion?
I move that we accept the amended order of conditions for 2/4/2/1750 as drafted and slightly amended.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. Well,
Wait, what are we waiting on?
we're
So,
waiting on Court Street.
Court. So we got
Mr. Bonilla.
courts here. 2 minutes? All right, we'll give you 2.
Yeah.
Beach would never showed up. Even now.
Yeah, Mr. Mann's the official timekeeper, so.
Pretty close.
As they say in Latin, tempus fugit. Time flies.
Thank you for the translation.
I went to Catholic school, we learned Latin, yeah,
Bet you use it a lot, huh?
yeah, all the time.
You gave it to me, Amy. You want
We're ready
this?
for you.
Oh, here he is.
Zach?
Okay, good.
Yeah, I will project that.
You wanna take it back?
No, I'll,
Okay.
all right.
Mm-hmm.
This is the restoration.
So this is the 25 here.
Replicate here. But there's still a good elevation.
Yeah.
Here to down here. Everything's evasive. Okay.
All righty. Hi. Thank you for coming.
You all loosened up, ready to go? You got a stretcher or anything?
Yeah, I've been at it all day, so
All right.
I'm just going forward.
Alrighty, so Taylor and I visited the property yesterday, inspected the wetland line. We adjusted a couple flags. This existing conditions plan does show that.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, what's up?
yeah, I talked to Preston today and we took care of that over the phone
Great,
with
okay.
the offsets and
Um,
it's there.
So, this existing conditions plan is ahead of schedule per the deadlines in the enforcement order. So I'm gonna let Sergio walk through it, because I just received it, so I haven't had a chance.
Okay, well, thanks for seeing us again. I'm here with Jim Fioranti as well, homeowner. And what we did with Amy and Taylor yesterday was just adjusted very minor adjustments to the wetland line, about a foot, and we added a flag to encompass maybe a triangular area that took on maybe 6 or 7 square feet, but nonetheless, real tight. Now it's hugged real tight, as you know, Amy. So the idea we talked about yesterday is we'll come to you with, obviously, we want to restore that back to the 50 foot back to where it belongs, but in the same time, we'd like to sort of solicit you for a sort of an avenue going forward or a vehicle going forward with allowing them to keep some of their, of that backyard in a flattened configuration while installing maybe a pervious patio right up the back end of the home, because they've got young children and they would be not within the 25, they would be within the 50 with the retaining wall, which I understand is not a structure, but is it a structure per the definition of the ordinance,
If-
of the bylaw?
It's
If you need a building permit.
if you
The
need a building
over
permit,
6 feet,
4.
4, yeah.
And that includes footing.
Yeah.
So the 4 feet includes footing.
Typically is.
So they're prepared to do that. That's okay if they're going to go above 4 to get a building permit. Otherwise, we've come up with a sort of a draft proposal to really complement that 25 with the yellow and complement the remainder of the 50 in green. There's 2 in green, 285, 460. That's approximate. I'll get on the phone with, if you guys are receptive to this, I will get on the phone with Preston and we can put that in plan, document that in plan example and come forward with, like I did with the Rodriguez family, I would come forward with a planting schedule with wildlife conservation seed mix within the buffer areas and some high-quality shrubs to complement an area that is, as you know, is pretty much devoid of diversity. It's all, Norway maple as far as I'm concerned. There's some herbaceous that's fine that would remain in the BVW area, but the buffer is really devoid of any real vegetation. So with the solar aspect, with some of the limbing that was done, I think that will facilitate some good growth in the herbaceous stratum with the wildlife conservation seed mix, and I think it will also allow for some pretty high-quality shrubs to thrive there with those resources. It's steep, as you know, as well, so I cut it off at that yellow northerly portion because, as you know, you can see also there's some steep slopes, and there's also the existing brush pile, which is good for habitat in my eyes. So it sort of evens out. It's kind of a 1-to-1 ratio, about 1530 on the and this is in draft form, mind you, about 1530 in the mitigation, where they would like to retain 1,500 square feet of where they've flattened, or where they've leveled out, not flattened. That's, that sounds a little bit more invasive.
So, just so we understand what this plan is saying, the red is the limits of fill.
For the most part, it's where the chain link fence was. So approximately, and that's, they have you see a note on there. It says, and I covered some of it with the colored notations. It says fill area with gravel, not gravel, coarse gravel. It's the riprap essentially.
Okay.
But they're prepared to come forward with a pretty robust mitigation proposal for if you would allow that red area to remain.
And that would require a retaining wall.
I would think so, as you saw the slopes.
Okay.
But why
So that's-
clean it out and then come back and ask for it and then replace it? That's where we're trying. We're just trying to facilitate it reduce the amount of disturbance. We don't think there's anything getting near the wetland at all, as you know from being on site. But as soon as we start removing, putting back, exposing, trying to stabilize in a pretty rough scenario with the drought conditions, we figure, as you said at the last meeting, as you said yesterday, why not come forward with what they would like to do? So we understand, A, clean it up, get it restored back to, but at the same time, if we can sort of, reduce the amount of disturbance, upgrading of the wetland boundary, and you guys are receptive to it with the robust mitigation program, I can finalize that like I did previously in narrative and in tabular format with the table, and we could go from there.
Jack?
Yeah, thanks for the explanation, because I was not confused, and you cleared it up for me. So you want to reclaim that red area as flat yard, put a retaining wall basically at the boundary between the red and the green and that small area of yellow area.
Approximately, I
Yep.
think that's what it'll turn out to.
It looks like it would be a nice yard. I don't blame you for asking for that. It would typically, a retaining wall is considered a structure, and we run into this all the time with swimming pools.
Yeah.
Because typically a swimming pool will have a patio around it.
Sure.
And where it drops off, a retaining wall will go there, and we try to keep them outside of the 50-foot no-build zone. So that's kind of a precedent we've set. In this area, we did have an applicant come before us, and I think it's a similar type. It's on your street, it's on the same side of the street, and the house is probably a similar age, but I think we defined the no-build zone and the no-disturb zone to be a little bit different.
Case by case, right?
Yeah, I
That's what
think
we're
it was
looking for.
based on historical
Yeah.
development back at the time. So I think the furthest we could go is to consider that revised no-build setback, and I think it was less than 50 feet. But I think the most we could probably go would be to consider what we did in the past. And it's not going to be up to the 25, I'm positive about that. But it would be half a loaf, I guess, you know.
Well,
So
yeah.
anyway, that's just my opinion.
No, I appreciate
That's my
that.
thinking on it. It's the Castricon property.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe Jim could shed a little bit light of, personally, and what happens in the neighborhood. We realize everything has to be, judged on its own merits. But, from a family standpoint, maybe he can provide some light.
There was an existing chain link fence there, and I think it's denoted on this plan?
Yeah, I think it is. I just covered it up a little
And
bit.
so all we're,
Hold on, I can't hear. Speak
sorry.
That's the
up, Mike.
limit of previous, well, the whole backyard is
So-
previously disturbed, so, yeah.
it was like a 3-to-1 slope, maybe a little bit stronger 2-to-1 slope, and we just want to stay within the bounds of that chain link fence which was always mowed, it was always maintained, and just raise the grade so the kids can play without the ball rolling into the street, rolling off the, off the property. And so where the fence line is we're okay with replacing the fence with the retaining wall.
Yep.
And that might not be as, for lack of a better term. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting. That might not be as intrusive as that read. This was put together about an hour before. As Amy knows, I just sent it to her. Yeah, that might depict the chain link fence better. It will, because I covered it up.
Get this.
We have this.
This one might be a
Oh, you
little
do have
clearer
just
where
a
the
big
chain link
one.
fence that just came in today.
Do you have all this? Al, you have a copy?
Yeah, we have that, we have one.
I have that one, sir.
How many do you
I
have
have
enough
5
for?
actually, so I go keep walking or
Send that
just-
down.
Here you go.
Here you go, Willie. We have enough here.
All right.
Oh,
Right
okay.
here. We have,
The chain link fence doesn't go as far as the red, it looks like.
so is it your opinion
I
that
know it does.
the location of the chain link fence would establish an area of previous disturbance? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no question. Anything that's been, any backyard in any of the northern Essex areas that have wetland resources, there's always been some degree of disturbance. So previously developed, previously disturbed, call it what you will. That's
That would still require a waiver though, correct?
well, that's what I asked Amy yesterday. It's the vehicle in which we do it.
So that would, if,
Yeah, I mean, that's an alternatives analysis.
that's an, so that, yeah,
Yes.
so that would require,
This isn't even close.
gotcha. Okay. All right, I'm good for right now, Mr. Chairman. Let me-
Okay, I'm agreeing with Mr. Mavet. I know you're just using the fence as a borderline, but the fence before is 8 feet lower than what you want to build. I mean, I'm trying to decipher what the grades on this one.
So then maybe it's 8 feet less encroachment.
Let's see here.
You mean,
Yeah, yeah.
170, say at the house it's at 170, and at the bottom of the slope it's at, I think, 164, 162, so it's like an 8-foot drop.
So we're
From
gaining.
where the house is to where the boarding, the 25 is.
Yeah.
And I'm only guessing because the slope, lines are all
The chain
over.
link fence is 4 feet tall, and the grade is just at that top up height of the fence, or just maybe below it, but, so if the chain link fence is 48 inches, the gravel height.
The elevation just above the chain link fence is at 164. This red thing you put over here is 162. And the best elevation, I'll give you the benefit of doubt, 168 at the house. I think it's low, it's higher than that. But, so we're looking at 8 feet. An 8-foot fill.
8-foot fill,
Yeah.
not retaining wall.
That's what you got now. So, to say, we never allow filling to the 25, that would never happen. I had spoke previously to the applicant, they asked me for what I thought, and I thought that go as far as the 50, the 25, and start a 3-to-1 slope, and get all this stuff out of here.
If you go as far as the 50, then you lose land because the chain link fence is beyond the 50, it's actually beyond the 50.
Well, the chain link fence, truthfully, doesn't have anything to do with this project. It's not a benchmark for
Well,
the grades.
Keep it there.
It's buried now.
Oh, it's buried? This isn't after,
Huh?
So,
it's buried?
Yeah.
yeah,
This is all after the fact?
Well, the temporary stone is
Yeah,
also
this is
there.
after the fact.
Oh,
yeah, this
Jesus.
is an
Enforcement order.
Oh, my God. I was just waiting for it to come around to me and say, you can't do this. I wouldn't allow this to, I would never vote for this.
They're responding to an enforcement
Oh,
order.
my
Yeah, that's, I
Yeah,
should have noted
jeez.
that.
Well,
And then if you look at your colored area, you have
oh, God.
2 areas of beyond the 50. It says fill area. So you're filling where the existing already is. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I could love to help you, but this is not a good situation. One thing we try to do on this board is try and be consistent.
Not case-by-case basis.
No,
Not all.
this is a
Precedent.
This is an elephant in the room.
I know this project. It's already come in front of us 2 or 3 years ago. We made the guy remove everything in the backyard,
Yeah,
get rid of all, and more recently, on Salem Street, too.
yeah, we did. So, I mean,
So the benefit of the enhancement of the 25 and the 50 does not in any way outweigh 1,500 square feet of,
no, because you guys degraded the 25. You're only fixing what you broke. So, I
that
mean,
we're giving back, enhancing back what we did, what he did inadvertently, fill with stone to provide a work area for the.
I know, and I'm in harmony with you. I'd love to say, okay, do it, so your kids can play in the backyard. I mean, but at some point, we gotta be trying to be consistent. I can't even comprehend how to fix it. To give you to maximize your yard. But I know, for me, anything near the 25, 8 feet high, I would never approve. And the wall, you gotta give us some room in here to put the wall, if you wanna put the wall in. Because you're gonna build a wall from the sides,
Yes.
right? But to the wetlands and over to the back and to, it's gonna be some serious money.
I mean, to give you the 3-to-1 slope, then we lose the backyard. I mean, we're in the whole entire house is within the 75-foot zone. You walk out the back door, you're in the 50.
I know, I feel bad for you, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, but I'll tell you right now, that you're looking at, rough guess, I would say $50,000 for the wall.
Half price.
Huh?
That's half price.
That's half price.
Could you come to the mic, please?
So, I mean,
You could sit and
and the
talk.
replication, and I know you got an abutter here, so they're listening very well.
I think what's missing here, and probably you should put some effort into, is a really comprehensive alternatives analysis. Because you're requesting a big waiver. And even if we were to use the location of the chain link fence as an area of previous disturbance or as a benchmark, you still need an alternatives analysis, which I recommend putting some time into, because we've had similar requests from other neighbors.
Yeah,
And
understood, absolutely.
you know, this could be a real problem.
Alternatives analysis, like in the sense of like
Well,
you
you're
do,
asking-
like you typically do for a riverfront area?
You're asking for a waiver.
Yeah. So I am, that's the vehicle would be a waiver?
You're asking for a waiver. So a waiver request has to be accompanied by an alternatives analysis to explain why your waiver request is valid. It's not an easy
Yeah.
thing to do, but it's the number one requirement. There's no waiver consideration without an alternatives analysis.
Would that include a pro and con? Because the pro and con, I
It
think is a
should-
no-brainer, but,
It should present alternatives that would avoid impact to the buffer zones.
yeah,
Another alternative to maybe minimize the impact to the buffer zones.
sure,
And similar along the lines of what you have here, mitigate.
sure, that's the avoid,
Avoid, minimize,
minimize,
mitigate.
that's
So
the way I.
you've got to take those three words, and you've got to use that as the basis of your composition for your alternatives analysis. And at the same time, you have to consider previous disturbance. You have to consider what's regular in the neighborhood. Everything has to come into play. Unfortunately, it's a difficult task. I'm not saying it's impossible at all, but I'm telling you, it's an uphill battle.
Well, that was be my next question. Would we should, I mean, I know this is a ridiculous question, maybe, but if we went through that exercise,
We can't tell
you can't tell me.
No, we can't answer
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. So, there's the risk.
So the alternative then is to just remove, and
One of the alternatives is to restore the site. That's an alternative.
Well, that's
One of the-
EO requirement, first and foremost, right?
But you're asking how to take the mistake that was made and turn it into something positive. You've got to show alternatives. You got to show, I mean, I'm telling you, it's
No,
you know,
I'm all ears.
it's
yeah,
not an easy task, but I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not trying to discourage you from,
Okay.
I'm just saying it's what's needed. It's a big, important part of what you have to submit.
You also have to show that, I mean, an alternatives analysis is fine for something that has got some necessity to it. You know, enhancing a backyard is not a necessity and is not necessarily something that requires an alternative analysis for
Well,
a commission to make a
Yeah,
decision on.
like you do it, you ask for a waiver, because if you don't
Well,
do it, your house will
Yeah,
fall down.
and again, and so, and just from my, you gave your perspective, from my perspective, I have had this exact project in front of me, exact. And I know how I ruled on it, and it would be incredibly hard for me personally to go to a 180 on that.
I am of the same opinion. I mean, firstly, I'd like to see a plan.
No
with
offense to you, the applicant,
Some,
at all, I swear to God.
and for me to look at a plan, to try and visualize it, colors don't mean anything. I want to see numbers, elevations.
This was quick,
I know, but I mean,
appreciate that, yeah.
to look at, because I mean, I have issues with the green areas on the side, because I'm in harmony with the abutters want to know what's going on, and they should know what's going on here. You know, you talk about the wall, but the green area, how is it sloping to the property lines? Is the water being drained toward their house? These are things that you, engineer, you'll have to,
Yeah.
both sides. I don't know where the abutters, which abutter is here, I know there's one here, but that has to be taken care of. Up against the 25, there's no way in hell I'm gonna,
It's in the 25, just so you know.
it's in the 25?
Yes.
The red?
Well, the
Yeah.
red is what they want to keep.
Yeah,
This plan shows that the fill does go into the 25.
Yeah, so
so we,
there's room for improvement.
yeah, this plan, you shouldn't have gave this plan, because this plan really, shows the violation big time. Over this one.
I would encourage you to go back to the drawing board, Sergio. I mean, I think, you know,
This plan here, I don't know which it is.
By virtue of the silt sock?
Yeah, well,
That wasn't slope before.
It's stamped somewhere,
Pre-existing slope, I'm not sure about that, but I guess we can figure that out.
It was dated, this one's dated,
August 10th.
Today, right?
Yep. August
oh,
10th.
August 10th.
Today?
This plan here is dated August 10th.
right.
The alternatives analysis is required by our bylaw.
Okay,
too.
understood.
So
Well
any,
understood.
any waiver
This one here is
request
dated
Okay.
August 10th.
requires an alternatives analysis, so it's,
Okay, well
we're doing what
understood.
we're supposed to do.
And it's-
Well understood.
It's way out of whack. So they're in the 25. See, the painted wood doesn't show that.
Yeah, that covers it up. And again, like I said, I was just trying to depict what we come up with for mitigation and, you know, robust mitigation to ask permission to retain that red area, which may or may not be smaller based on where the fence line is.
No, I'm back to that same thing, just like I was just looking. It's 162 at the 25. And this elevation is 170. So that's 8 feet. So from the tip of the house to the tip of the wetlands, it's an 8-foot fill.
There's always a steep slope there. There's always a steep slope there.
Yeah, well, I
So
mean,
it's not depicting it like exactly how you read
but you can't expect us to allow an 8-foot fill to go from the house to the 25, because you're going to build a wall.
Tell you a whole story.
Okay.
I don't see how that can happen. And like I said, when you gotta give us some idea what you're doing in the side banks,
Yeah.
because,
Well, I think what I hear is, at this point, just restore and we'll come back later. Just restore it back, pull the riprap, remove it, put some erosion control fabric, loam it, stabilize it, and restore it back to pre-existing.
I would.
Because that'll take care of the EO, and that's the reason why we're in this. And
So what are you proposing?
to remove the fill, as Jim had mentioned,
Stabilize, remove and stabilize.
the the riprap that they use for the work area pads for the crane, and restore it back,
To what it used to be?
stabilize the slopes, yeah.
Okay.
We'll have to have some irrigation.
You know, and then you can come, design a project and come before us again and take
But
your
definitely,
feedback.
you don't want to see something as intrusive up to the 25 with a wall.
Yeah, I'm not a big,
It's not something that anybody feels like they can vote.
No,
Not that
that'll
high.
never, that won't fly.
Yeah, and as we've been sitting here, I did review the regulations, just to confirm
Yeah.
that in driveways, retaining walls,
Yeah.
a couple, two of
Okay.
the other things. have
No
reference.
argument there, and I'm all ears, and figured,
I mean,
you won't get it without asking,
It's
so.
true.
no, I understand.
And we tried to figure if we could, kill two birds with
Yep.
one stone. Obviously, it's in a backwards order, but we understand, and we'll,
I mean, I'm looking at it as hard as I can, and I'm trying to be as creative as I possibly can.
Yep.
And
See, Mr. Manzi was trying to fashion some medium in between, but this is a tough one to do it on, and I appreciate where he was coming from.
it is, I mean,
And I think Lou's trying to articulate the same
I'm
thing,
trying to
because
look
we
at-
never like to say,
Well, I'm just
We
trying
never
to
like
look
to
at
do
the
this.
existing conditions, the previous conditions that before they buried them,
yep,
to see if there's a way to give them something.
Yep.
well, Taylor provided great pictures, and you could see
Yeah.
what the area looked like beforehand.
no, we're all familiar.
Yeah.
We did Castricon's property, did
We-
the same,
again,
two
we
houses
just-
down,
Yeah.
same yard. Yeah.
We just figured it might be an opportunity, obviously in the guise of retaining that area, under the guise of retaining that area to really enhance what we can and provide some wildlife habitat, structure, cover.
That helps,
And,
Sean, it's the field is 4 feet higher than that fence.
I mean, it is,
Well, it is, it's shown, I'm going by the elevations on the plan.
either
So-
way. It-
You know how to do that, right?
6 feet.
Elevations, you know how to do
Sure,
that?
yeah.
I'm only kidding.
They know what to do.
Okay, what schedule do they have now?
Well, they gotta come back.
I know, we have, there's a couple of schedules that we have, right?
Well,
They're ahead of schedule now.
They're ahead of schedule.
Yeah, we're ahead of schedule for the EO.
Yeah, they're
so-
fine.
Yes.
They're good.
They
They're,
are.
they're in compliance with.
So everything's good.
Yeah.
So
So,
leave the enforcement order as is? Or do we need,
Well,
We have that, should have them, I don't know what we have for dates, I
Shouldn't we
forget.
be-
Do they need to issue an order of conditions? Is that what
No.
you're looking for, or just?
no, they don't have,
No, they're under enforcement.
they're under enforcement
Yeah,
order.
yeah, but you're gonna tell them to do,
Well, we
Well,
gotta
is
get,
that something in
I
front of us, some
think-
kind of
I
plan,
think
right?
if
They
it's-
gotta come in with some kind of plan.
you gotta
I
have
know,
a
but-
stabilization plan, what is that?
The stabilization plan under an enforcement order, I don't suggest
They-
permitting under a notice of intent.
they-
No.
I mean, if it's
We're
something
removing
the
it.
commission,
So they have the option right now, they're under an EO,
right,
that we've requested them to cease and desist and then provide a plan for stabilization or whatever they wanted to do. That's what they're doing. Have they run out of time yet? Have they timed out yet?
no.
So they can come back with a stabilization plan or send you one during the week, and we can put them on for the next meeting, or
Okay.
they can restore if they want. And they don't,
Under the EO.
under the EO.
Yeah, so if you
They
wanna
can, they
take,
can restore and stabilize. They don't have to file an NOI to do
Yeah,
that.
so if you wanna take the stuff out, you
EO's the vehicle that we prefer,
Yeah.
can
obviously,
do it
yeah.
now under the
Yeah.
EO.
Yeah.
So is the goal to come back with another plan?
If you need to see us again, you need a plan, if it can be done
But
over,
what do you wanna
Of
do?
course. Correspondence with Amy and-
If you wanted to do more than restore and stabilize, it would probably require an NOI.
yeah, that's to come back, obviously that, you'd come, but that would be the vehicle.
But in order just to fix it now, right? If there's anybody,
Yeah,
They're
well, I
not
guess I'm
going-
wondering if, like, what would we approve under an NOI? Because that's, right, so.
Well, that's what he
just so
can't
you're
tell
not-
us, because I asked that question, would it be permittable to come back, you know, you can't, you guys, that's, we have to
Well, if
take
you
on that
could-
risk.
I mean,
Come back for
obviously, if you could comply with the 50-foot no-build, we could approve it, but
Right, like if you just did like a sort of an embankment and maybe some
That's something
plantings
to-
rather than a wall, maybe, maybe you don't get a perfectly flat lawn, it could come down to a grade or something. I'm just thinking like having them take all that stuff out, you know what I mean, as opposed to submitting an NOI for something that's reasonable and we could potentially approve. That way they might not have to take all that out and they can work with what's there
some
now.
what's there.
So that's what I'm thinking.
I was trying to.
I
Is
agree.
that what you're trying to say?
I was
I'm
trying to
sorry.
say the same
Okay.
thing, I just didn't do
But
a
I mean,
good job.
so, let's put it this way. Grading in a lawn within the 50 is allowable. When you get into retaining walls, that's a structure, and that triggers the,
So that's the fatal flaw in the situation,
Yes,
That's
the
what-
it
that's
is.
what I
structure
was
being the
trying to
retaining.
explain. That's what I was trying to
Up to the
explain.
They could
25.
come up with something
If you
creative and try
not do
to,
the wall,
try to do a slope that wouldn't be
slope from
erosive.
25
It's not,
up.
it's not worth it to gain 5 more feet of yard, I mean, I guess, but
Well,
the
that's-
one thing that just came to my, mind as we just got these surveys done this afternoon is the 50 is inside of the chain link fence, so
Yeah.
I don't wanna
Yeah.
lose
Yep, right.
what was
Yeah.
already there
Yep.
before.
I've been there. This is why, so this project was in front of us because I sold my house and then our subsequent home, the guy that bought my house did everything I ever wanted to do to my house. That I couldn't do.
Right.
And we did, we made him go ahead and take all the fill out and all of that.
Yeah.
So your fence up to the 25 is good, acceptable, no doubt, no doubt.
It's
And
beyond
getting it back to
25.
there before, within the 25 is,
And-
not, is,
It's
so when you
beyond
say
the
get it back to where it was, if the fence was in the 25, that might be an issue, but there's probably things you'd want to do to your yard from where it was before to what it is now. You don't want it to be the way it was before, you want to do something in between.
Right.
And so think about it, and come to us with a plan. Is that
You
kind of?
got time.
So
At least
no,
that's my
no
thought.
retaining wall.
You can design something that we can approve. You just
Yeah.
have to find that spot.
You might not get what you want, but you.
We're getting,
trying to kill
we're
it.
picking up a little bit what your guys are going,
I mean,
talking
you
about,
could
so we
build-
can
you
go
could
in
build a
that direction.
4-foot wall at the 50.
What's that?
You could build a 4-foot wall at the 50.
Yeah, that
He's got
doesn't
no
get.
yard.
But then I
Well,
lose the
well,
yard.
even-
Two-tiered yard, right?
Actually, we allow,
He's got a
we
two-tiered
allow,
yard.
we allow walls,
I essentially,
No, he
Closer.
wants more.
I just
yard.
want to replace the
I know.
fence with a wall.
I know, so
Like,
we allow.
remove the
we allow,
fence, put the wall in.
So you
Walls to
could
to
grade
the
up to
25.
the 25.
Okay.
We allow.
Yeah,
It
we're
may not be
saying-
exactly what you want, if
But
it
it just
doesn't.
What's the
involve
maximum
a
slope, 2 to
retaining
1
wall.
slope, or what is the
3 to
grade?
1 we like.
3 to 1,
3 to 1.
so it's
Nothing
mobile
greater
or
than
whatever.
2 to 1.
That's typical. I
That's-
don't know. Is there
that's-
precedent for that?
that's-
What, we usually, yeah, 3 to 1, we usually go with 3 to 1. Not by the book, by just out what the commission kind of looks for.
No,
And
there's
John-
nothing- There's nothing in the
There's
bylaw.
nothing in the bylaw. We,
No, but
it's just-
standard conditions always talk about.
Yeah, there might be a
No
standard practice.
regrading in the buffer shall have a steeper slope of 2 to 1.
we want 3 to 1. We'll
See,
change that
so
when
that-
we can.
No regrading in the buffer zone shall have a slope steeper than 2 to 1. That's boilerplate conditions.
Well, 3 to 1 is
Every
steep.
board-
That's up.
3 to 1 though, what happens is it eats up into the backyard. I love 3 to 1 because it's mowable and all that stuff, but it eats up into the,
That's the boilerplate.
it takes away from the
Yeah, you have
backyard,
to
so
choose
that
it.
requirement is.
Like I said, sometimes we allow walls up to the 25.
Okay.
So if you don't want to go to a building permit,
And the structural
You could build a
engineer and all that stuff, yeah.
4-foot wall.
I'm sorry, did we say no to the wall within the?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so
We said no.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
It is
retaining-
driveway,
It is
roadways,
allowed.
retaining walls, and landscape boulder walls
Right.
may be allowed within the 50-foot when no other feasible location or alternative means of access
Yeah.
exists. So it's
called
within the
out,
discretion of,
it's called out as a structure, a building structure.
it is, it
So-
is,
If
it's
you,
within our discretion, I guess.
Regardless,
so if
John,
you
it
would
would, it
propose
would
that-
require
if you
alternatives.
propose that.
Yes.
the
And
longer
and
the
there
20
really is no alternative, as
say
you know from the
26 feet
backyard,
off.
but nonetheless,
Off.
anything we come forward with in the future after the
I mean,
EO would
like a
require
foot off the
alternatives.
wetland.
alternatives.
If it
Where no
requires
wall-
a waiver,
Conversation's gone.
of the 50-foot no build.
That's what I was trying, I was,
That wall
I'll
4 feet
go,
high.
I'll talk to her about that.
so-
Okay?
And then
I'll
whatever
use that
the grade
for-
is.
Start, you build
consider-
from there and go up.
Consider a slope
Yeah,
instead of
Love that
retaining
idea,
wall.
love it.
Guys, we got,
We have
There's
we
an
got two
alternative, yeah.
We
conversations
have
going
one
at the same
conversation.
time.
with
Sorry.
Tom.
So you,
It's okay.
so you know what I'm
I know
trying
exactly what
to
you're
say.
saying.
As an alternative, it might, I can't promise it can be approved.
He's saying to keep the wall at 4 feet near the, not up to the 25 or close to the
Well,
25.
I prefer like 20.
And then whatever that grade is, you grade up.
so
And
you'll
grade
have a
up from
little,
So
there.
there'll be an incline, but not as steep as it used to be.
we gotta get creative, we gotta
Yeah, you
get
gotta
back
get
to
creative.
Millennium and
You
see what
got-
we can come up with.
You'd have to come back to us, because I don't, that.
You
does
should be
that
working
require
with
a
Amy.
waiver?
Absolutely,
Off,
There's a different.
Always.
off this meeting.
we always have, yeah.
Yeah, that's what you should do before you come back.
Yeah.
It's,
Thank you.
driveways, roadways, retaining walls, and blah, 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 may be allowed in the 50 no-foot build when no other feasible location or alternative means of access exists.
That's what I'm
Based
telling
upon
you.
the sentence, you can see it's really referring to driveways and roadways.
And accesses.
More than it is retaining
Do your,
walls and
do your
boulders.
alternatives analysis.
So that could,
You know, again,
that could be your alternatives analysis.
But first and foremost, we have to stabilize the area, that's our first step.
Yeah, you gotta stay.
We're gonna get the stuff out as
Remove
soon
the
as
stuff,
25 out.
stabilize,
Everything else.
vegetate, and if you had any concerns,
Hold on, we'll get to that, we'll get to
We'll
them in a
get to them
second.
next.
You guys
Blue
are, you guys are
controls.
good, you understand what we're
yeah,
looking
I think we
Right.
understand the path
Yeah.
going forward,
So
the
you know what I'm-
vehicles
you
and
know what I'm
stuff.
saying?
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Okay.
That gives,
Let us,
the other thing too is we want to integrate the wetlands. We want to integrate that into our landscape plan. We want to enhance that into our world.
We're gonna
not-
help- we're gonna
not
help you do
degrade
that.
it,
I
yeah.
mean, I know what you want, and I feel bad that we can't give it to you.
All right, so, we
We-
should probably issue an amended
We need-
order of conditions, enforcement order
Yeah.
that requires removal of, the material
Material.
from the 25.
yes,
and
okay,
Definitely from the
stabilize
25.
accordingly.
okay.
And anything that's in the 25, you're gonna have to clean out and you're gonna have to delineate. Because 25 to us is sacred. So anything, in some areas you have some in here, that it has to be replicated.
Restored, yeah.
Do you think we lost some to the 25?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
According to this.
According to that?
I think-
Yeah, I couldn't visualize it that easy in the field.
Yeah, according to this.
Right there in the
I think
picture,
so.
actually.
If you
right
want,
there.
this,
Oh, just that corner, yeah.
Yeah,
that
just that
corner
picture.
right
There
there.
wasn't-
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure,
Uh,
pull it back, and
yeah, pull it back,
Stabilize
and
it.
then pull all the fill back,
I think that corner of the fence might be compromised.
you know.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
At least, if you pull it to the 50, the fill, and stabilize it until you figure out what kind of plan you got, so,
Means
you know,
25.
don't take it out and then you have to bring it back.
Yeah, no, that's.
So, get it out of the 50,
yeah.
25.
25, yeah,
25.
gotcha.
25.
the fill,
Get the fill out of the
A little
25.
bit, little bit went
Yeah,
over,
yeah,
spilled
fill
over
out
to
the
25.
You can fill up to the 25.
and then leave it there till you come with a plan. Like I said, I think the 4-foot wall will fly, but you can't, don't be that 25 is not exact, as we can see between the two different plans. And really address your abutters, the areas that your abutters, make them happy, because an unhappy neighbor is not a good thing.
No. I think want to make everybody happy.
And I would guess that a 4-foot wall located at the edge of this red area that you've marked out is, I personally don't think that's gonna fly.
No, like I said, 20, 26, 27, somewhere in that vicinity.
It's,
I'd like to see a
based
little
on
further away than
precedence,
that.
it's been it's further than that,
Well,
and I don't know what the
we allow-
setback
We
is.
allow walls to the 25.
There's is a slightly, there's, when not feasible, I mean, we don't, it's not just, it's not it is a structure. So we don't allow them within 50
Okay.
feet without a good darn reason.
Yeah.
These things.
But
these
there's no other location where this can happen.
Right, but. I
Or
mean,
it doesn't
you don't
happen.
need
The
to-
alternatives,
exactly.
the alternatives are no build.
Right.
If it's not gonna
It's not
fly,
like a
then I
second
won't
means of
pursue it.
egress where you need it to get a permit. It's, there's, you know, that's why the alternatives analysis is kind of, has, its own flaw is that it's not a necessary thing to have out there to, you know, maintain
Of
the
course.
ownership of your property, right? I mean, it's
course.
not a taking from the
Like
town. if
like
you
trying
can't
to
go within
establish
25
hardship.
feet or 50 feet of
Yeah.
wetland, so it's not an alternative analysis thing, but try to get it up pretty, you know, not right up to the 25. Think about where we're coming from.
Sure, we
And
understand.
I know the
Absolutely.
abutters want to talk to you, so I'll
Yeah.
shut up.
Okay. You want-
So-
you all set? All right, so we just need some.
Hold on,
The
I
neighbors,
wanna,
neighbors here.
Abutters?
yeah,
Yeah, you want to hear from the butters first, then? Or not?
if you want, if you guys want to, it's your,
I-
this isn't a hearing, but it's your discretion to,
Yeah, we
Is it-
should give them an opportunity.
okay.
Do you have anything to say,
Folks, come on up and
please?
you can have the podium or the table, your pleasure.
Oh, this is fine. And John Weaver, 37 Court Street. So we're all in favor of Jim and Leah having a backyard where their kids can play. We totally get that. But in all fairness, it's a small lot. And right now, they've built it out, so there's quite a pile of fill in the backyard, and we look right at it. And we said to Jim and Leah early on, our yard and our view is one of the primary values of our property. We live we live between Castricone and Jim and Leah. So that's a great, we want to preserve that value in our property, and we don't want to end up, we would hope we don't end up with something in the next yard that's kind of just out of character of the neighborhood and detracts from the value of our property. So that's, but whatever they can work out within that context is fine.
I agree with you, and I hope the applicant will communicate with you when he designs this new project,
Okay.
because that's the best way to do it, instead of banging heads and, nobody wins.
Okay.
So, and we will protect your rights also,
Thank you. Appreciate that.
all right?
Can I just say something about that?
Sure, right?
So I definitely hear where you're coming from, but so this commission doesn't really deal with visual impacts or anything. It's more of a planning, zoning issue. So definitely understand where you're coming from, but I'm not sure that can really be a consideration for our decision, the visual impacts.
All
But,
right.
but looking at the plan, how we're making an approach, for his yard, it's gonna be, material's gonna be cut in half. At the minimum, it's probably gonna be cut in half from where your house is. So your visual, you know, and we're pulling everything away from the
Right.
50. So you're already gonna gain, just by your judgment, at least 25 feet. It's gonna, that mountain is gonna disappear.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
So what do you need from us now?
Okay, so amend the enforcement order, and I have a list of stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so remove the fill from the 25-foot no disturb zone and stabilize as needed and adjust erosion control to chase that slope. Reseed the area in the 25, blanket it with native seed and do erosion control blanketing. I don't know whether it should be the wetland consultant or the surveyor needs to be on site while removal is happening to make sure that they're hitting that 25 and getting it out. I mean, I don't really trust, you know, I need someone, either the consultant or surveyor, so it's up to you guys.
Who do you want? Pick one.
I would say probably Sergio, the wetland consultant.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, all right. And then, let's see, so then continue, the wetland consultant would continue to be the monitor for the project after a half-inch rain event or greater. That was in our previous enforcement order. So that's what I have.
And what about him coming in front of us with a plan for going forward.
Yeah,
The-
can you have, you have.
another comment.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just forgot to mention something we talked about last time, is the water flow. And we said at the last meeting we were here, we don't have water in our basement, but that's only true because we put a sump pump in. We were getting water in the basement before. So you made the point about measuring the water flow when this project is all said and done, and make sure that it's not going to start moving water around in unexpected ways.
You definitely wouldn't shed anything towards.
Yeah, that-
rain saddle, we were sorry, I don't think there'd be any impact, but we make sure that.
Yeah, that'll be a requirement.
Yeah, because we'll be watching, because this plan here, I asked about the green areas, which hit the abutters, to be cognizant of the water flow.
Okay.
And even this red area, it's not gonna be flat anymore, it's gonna be sloping toward the wetlands, just at a higher level, but it's not gonna be, they're not grading the thing this way, they're grading it this way.
Okay, fine, thank you.
All right, so can you have something for the next meeting?
Plus, write a plan,
Also,
yeah, plus a plan, showing us where you're going to, what you're gonna do, if you're gonna propose a retaining wall someplace between 50 and 25? Are you gonna pull it all back and just put a fence up at the 25 foot and put it back to some kind of slope? That's up to you guys.
Yeah.
Okay?
If they have it designed, we'll bring it back.
Yep.
But in the sense, a level of detail for stabilization plan, it'll just be removing, I mean.
Removing, get an angle of repose that's not gonna, you
Yeah,
know,
we'll find the virgin
crumble.
material.
and adjust your erosion control line, so it's
Some rolled erosion control
protecting that
fabric.
toe slope,
to
that
really
new
hold it
toe
back.
slope that's out of the 25.
Right.
And include elevations, contours,
Yeah, well, yeah,
yeah.
In the plan.
Preston will recreate that's,
Right.
pre-existing condition. But there will be,
Must
you have
be
to,
this way.
you have to understand, there might be some,
Right.
but provide some flexibility in the sense, because it might look different on a plan, grade-wise, to recreate a 3-to-1. When we actually go to the field with a bucket material, we'll find, he knows exactly where virgin material is.
Yeah,
So
Right.
there's got to be some flexibility there. It won't look exactly like a plan might show with different topographical gradients. Yeah, but nothing steeper, I don't think.
okay.
Thank you.
All right,
So, motion
So-
to issue that
So plan by,
plan by 9/14,
9:14.
is that's like,
that's the date of the
Five-
hearing, they don't have to
So
file,
have all the surveying done?
they don't have to file ahead of time.
and
right?
have your
they
proposed
can just
plan.
submit it.
Yep.
and we can
So we have to have the plan first to go forward with the machinery work.
No.
No,
You can
no.
remove the material under the enforcement.
Enforcement. order.
Okay,
Part of the enforcement order is by September 14th to provide us with a plan about what you're gonna do going forward. And to be
Shouldn't-
here for that hearing.
shouldn't
So he
we ask
can't-
for
so he can't do
alternative
any work
analysis
until
by
then?
As well as.
Yeah. He can start work, he can put the full
So,
stuff in the
so
25.
you guys saying submit a notice of intent with the plan
So-
by the 14th,
Yes.
just to
I
submit it?
think we're saying two things. We're
Alright.
we're telling them to restore right now.
Right.
Yes,
We're saying do that right now.
yes.
And that comes under the EO. And then we're saying at the same time,
If we-
what is your ultimate goal going forward? That needs to come before us by September 14th, I think is what Sean's asking for.
Yep.
And that would include, whatever you're asking for, should have an alternatives analysis as the core of what you're asking for.
and if he's not gonna ask for anything,
If he's gonna ask for nothing but to restore,
then,
that's fine, that's a choice.
all right.
And we can do that under an enforcement.
And
order.
that can all be
That's
done
under
under
the
the EO, and no other proposal needs to come forward.
So no stabilization plan, or yes, still stabilization? That's where my confusion is.
Yeah,
I'm
it needs
yeah,
Yeah, I would say,
But he
Yeah.
can do the work to stabilize that area now, before the 14th.
yes.
Yes.
But part of
Start-
this-
You start tomorrow.
Part of the stabilization plan has to deal with the water flow as the
Absolutely.
restoration of the area to
Absolutely.
have no restriction to the water flow. That all has to be part of what's being, okay?
Yep.
That can't be left out. We're kind of saying two different things and they sound similar, but
Yeah,
I think you get it.
2 tracks.
Removal in the 25,
Yes.
And obviously, when you
Stabilize
do that
50.
removal, so do it so it's stable. Well, I don't need to tell you how to do it. You know what an angle of repose is to make that slope, that temporary slope, stable.
Yeah,
Put some wetland mix in there, something like that?
Right, do
I would put erosion control.
Do
mix
your
probably
erosion
more than that,
control. Reseed, blanket, and that's all by the 14th, and then by the 14th, get a plan together that has.
If you want to
yeah.
do.
If we want to do
If
something.
you
for
want to
it.
do something else.
It
That
wouldn't hurt,
clarifies,
it wouldn't
thank
hurt
you.
to take some of that
Yes.
material out, because you're not gonna need it all, even if you build a wall. So it wouldn't hurt to take some, less chance of impact. You better off you know what you're gonna need,
We'll get a good judge, I'll know how much to take.
know what you need, but I mean, you don't need what you got now. All right, and just be cognizant of the abutters, that the water isn't going into their property. And we'll see you on September
14th,
14th. And when you start, notify conservation,
yes.
so we kinda like
Yep,
send an eyeball.
I had one more question, if you have.
yes, no, go ahead.
So, I should have looked at it closer, but, so monitoring after rain events? Not weekly, just after rain events?
Right,
Okay,
half inch or
events, yeah.
greater.
Okay.
In
I get to
24
use my
hours.
Sesame certification again.
Yeah,
If it rains.
Yeah, if it rains,
Yes.
right?
Right,
Yeah.
and
And I used to use
thunderstorms
weather
for 2
underground
weeks.
for a gauge on that. I mean, obviously, there's no gauge on site, but I used to use weather underground. I used to use 3 different sources and average them to try to get
Okay.
out of it or get into it, so to speak. I'm kidding, but
got
yeah.
it, got it.
No, I think you should stand out there in the rain and measure it.
But yeah, so if I think I've got their authorization to be there to do that, and I'll.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So motion to amend the enforcement order as we.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Don't sign 161.
Motion to adjourn. So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.